So this is just a short video to help you understand how to get the dock into the water. It's actually not that complicated. Right now, you'll note that the water level is very high. Where those bulrushes are is the normal water line. So we can't get the dock in right now because the slope is just way off. But normally, the dock would be out of the water for the season. I find it best to have 2 guys or 3 guys do the job. It's actually not that hard to do. What you will start by doing is removing most of the covers off the top of the deck. They pull off quite easily and reduce the weight substantially. Once that's done, it's good to have 1 guy at the front of the dock, usually in hip waders, who can guide it in. 2 guys will push it down the hill. Don't worry, it won't go that fast, so no one's going to get run over. There are wheels under the dock, and there is floaters under the dock as well. So once it hits the water, it'll start to float. Try to do it in a day that's fairly calm, much like today, because you don't want a lot of water bashing around the dock. These are really all the tools you'll need. The first thing is a winch that uses the ratchet to lift the dock up. Basically what happens is you'll put the winch on the top of the post down to the bottom where it hooks in, and as you winch it up, the dock will lift up on the legs. What you're going to want to do is have the dock out of the water, otherwise it's kind of a rocky motion as the waves hit it. So you need a ratchet, a couple of sockets, and the hook. The one I'm showing you is probably not going to be the one I'm going to leave, as this one never really worked very well, and I had a new one made. I just don't have it yet. There are 2 socket sizes, as there's one size that goes on the winch, and there's a different size where you tighten and loosen the bolts that hold the dock on the beam. So once you get the dock back into the water, it's always a good idea to put a few of the boards back on to give you something to walk on. Also, I have on numerous occasions dropped tools in the water, and by having a few boards on, sometimes you can have it hit the board as opposed to going into the water. It can be a bit treacherous walking around on the metal bars and the 2x4s, so I always like to leave a few boards on. I don't put them all on because it's too much weight until you get the thing fully supported. Remember, you're going to be winching up the dock, so you want to avoid too much weight on it. Although I've had some fairly large guys on the dock while we do it, and it's actually quite simple to do. So what you're going to do is put the winch on the top of the post, and you can pull the strap all the way out. And as you can see, there's a socket up there that you'll use for leverage. And you can see there's teeth that hold the winch from falling. So at worst, if you ever lost control, it would just go down one tooth. It's kind of scary at first, but actually it's very simple to do. So what you're going to do then is the hook is at the end of the bracket. You can see it's hanging there, and then it would latch into there. And using your ratchet, you will tighten up the winch. I'm just doing it by hand to show you, but you would just crank it down, and it'll pull up there taut, like this, in there, and eventually it'll lock like that. And it's quite strong. Don't worry about it; it won't pop out. And once you get it in nice and tight, then use another ratchet, or another socket size, I should say, and loosen the bolts below. Once you've loosened the bolts, the tension will now be on the strap, and you will use your ratchet to pull it up. And it's quite simple. As you ratchet it up, the base post starts pushing into the ground, and the dock starts lifting. It's a good idea to have 2 guys, one on opposite posts, to be doing it. So for example, I would roll the dock into the water and then just manually fix a few of the legs, maybe 4 in each corner, or the 2 front ones, 2 middle ones, in to stabilize the dock. You don't need to ratchet it down, just push it down and tighten it up. Then put the winches on that end, and with a friend, winch it up. don't go too much at any one time, maybe just 6 inches at a time, and work your way around the outside of the dock. And eventually you'll do all of them and stabilize the dock. In the winter, when it's time to take the dock out, you just do it in reverse. So instead of raising using the winches, you're lowering using the winches. You'll need a pickup truck or something to pull it out of the water. People can't do it, it's just too heavy. But luckily there's a laneway down the side. You just tie it on, pull it out. Given that water levels are a bit higher lately, I next year would probably pull the dock a bit higher than I did this year to keep it out of the water. And that is about it. It's not that hard. The biggest risk is dropping tools in the water.